Okay, guys, welcome to C4 After Hours. I'm so happy you guys made it here. This is where the experts come to drill down and get into details of their expertise and offerings. I'm your host, Natasha Weedon. I'm one half of Wealth Through Wellness and the host for C4 Explosive Networking. So 2021 is upon us. This has been a crazy year that's gone by, but at least from adversity comes opportunity. So I want to get right to it. I'm not going to talk too long. We have three amazing experts tonight, and I just want to give them the most time possible. So I'm going to ask you guys to put questions into the chat, and in between, when the three of them are speaking and giving their presentations, I will, in between, once one ends, I will ask a couple of the questions. But put your questions in the chat, and then we'll open it up at the end for questions as well. So without further ado, please welcome our three experts to present Money Matters. Now, money isn't everything, but it sure is up there with oxygen, right? So welcome, Rick Weedon. I'm sorry, I'm saying my husband's name wrong. Rick Weedon of Wealth Through Wellness. He's going to show you how to acquire and grow money. Welcome Shay Cook of Crusaders for Change, who's going to show you how to manage and work that money. And Jerry Scheinman of New York Life, who's going to show you how to grow and protect that money. So that's all I'm saying about it. I want you all to go and look at their LinkedIn pages after this so you can get to know them better. Actually, look at all four of our LinkedIn pages after this. And so we're going to just go ahead and get started. Make sure everybody's on mute. Rick?
Hello, everybody.
Away.
Hello. Hey, we're just grateful for this and grateful for my wife to create these forums for us to just get educated and learn things that we may not know about and philosophies that we don't know about. Now's the time to really do that. And especially now with COVID, with the economy the way it is, I mean, now's the time to learn how, where does your money come from? How do you grow it? How do you protect it? And how do you manage it? These are all great topics. So, I want to encourage everybody here to have an open mind. I've learned from a mentor of ours who spent some time, actually, she was a keynote speaker who spent time in Auschwitz. And she said, I had to unlearn to learn again. So some of these concepts may be a little different for you, but, be open to them. So you may learn something that you didn't know that you can learn. So I'm going to, and also remember, we're just touching the surface here. If you want to get with us after this to talk about the subject matters that we're discussing, please do. That's what we're here for. We're here to kind of give information, educate you guys, provide our expertise. So we can only cover so much in a short period of time. So let me start by sharing my screen. All right, let me set this up, you guys. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with The Matrix, the movie, but in this scene, or The Matrix in general, is about kind of what this is, to me, is about. Just really discovery, an opportunity to discover things that we may think they are the way they are, but they're really not. Or just different ways of looking at things, because this movie has so many meanings spiritually and so much. But in this particular scene, this is where Lawrence Fishburne propositions Keanu Reeves, Morpheus, to Neo, and asks him, is he ready to take a deeper dive? And that's what we're asking you guys to do. So stay tuned. Make sure you can hear it. Oops. All right, let me restart that because I think I have my headset in. Can you hear?
Know what it is. The matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Yeah.
Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? that you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
So before I advance to the next slide, there's so much in that one clip that needs to be looked at. I mean, I think we are in a form of bondage in terms of our what we know and what our level of understanding and appreciation of business, of what it's all about, and how to maximize these things in business and acquiring and managing and growing your money. I also think too, we're just here simply trying to offer truths and possibilities. And I think that that's in this world right now, people need possibilities. And it's great to see someone take advantage of those possibilities and be willing to look past what the matrix represents, which is kind of the status quo, and to look beyond that. So let me go to the next slide, hopefully there. All right, this is interactive. I want put in the chat or a show of hands. Tasha's going to take a tally. Who would choose $1 million or a penny to double over 30 days? And if you know this already, then maybe you don't participate. But if you don't, I'd love for you guys to participate in this. Did we get a tally of how many people? Who would take the million? Hand up or yes.
Nobody. Who'll take the million today or a penny that doubles every day for 30 days? I see Daniel
Penny.
said a penny. Yeah. Who else?
Penny. Double.
Penny.
See, I think some of you guys
Yeah.
know. Anybody else?
Rihanna's saying the penny.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you know, a lot of folks I asked this to, you believe it or not, many people choose the $1 million because they're looking for something now. They're looking for something now and don't understand the concept of geometric progression and growth. So if you chose the penny, obviously you made the right choice here. And I'm trying to advance my slide. Why won't it advance? First technical difficulty. Stop sharing for a second. Oh, let's see here. All right. So as you can see, if you chose the penny that doubled, in the first 10 days, it doesn't really look that appealing. I mean, people, you know, and a lot of people are a little tense or, you know, it's nothing's happening. You know, they're kind of short on that. Day 20, it made a little progress and you're kind of a little excited. It's better. But they did 30. Look at that. I mean, that's what I'm going to talk a little bit more about how that works, but it's simply math and it's compounding effect and compound interest. And I'm sure that some of my partners may talk about that who are on this as well. So I'm training on Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. I've been wanting to train on this for a while because I think it's things that people need to know about. This is going to, again, this is really quick, but I want to talk about acquiring money. This is in the US. These are the ways that people acquire money. They're either an employee, they're either self-employed, business owner, or investor. Obviously, there are other ways to acquire money, but I mean, the major ways, I'm not talking about if you inherit or things like that, but these are the major ways that people acquire money. And if you look just quickly, because we're going to go a little deeper into this, you can see on the left side of the quadrant is where only 5% of the wealth resides, but 95% of the people. And you also can see where the time is your time commitment is related to your income. Whereas on the other side, people work for you, and there's also money making money. So you own a system in the B quadrant, and investors, you own your own investment. That's where 95% of the wealth resides and only 5% of the people. So I really want people to understand how to and what that's all about in terms of these principles of employee, self-employed, business, investors, the pros and the cons of those things. So I'm going to stop and pause. If anybody has anything they'd like to add or say or question, now's the time to put in the chat or ask a quick question before I move on. If no questions, I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so let's look at some of the pros and cons here of being an employee or self-employed person. So obviously, the first observation that you look at is you see a paycheck and self-esteem. It's very important for people to have a paycheck and self-esteem. That's really, really helpful in anything that you do. And this is not, again, when I'm talking about these subject matters, I'm not making any judgments or concerns about anybody or their positioning and rank in life. But these are just kind of what Robert Kiyosaki has outlined as these quadrants. You work just enough to get paid, and they pay you just enough to keep you there. That's some of the things that you do. One of the really downsides, you invest your own money into 401ks. There's no more pensions. There used to be pensions. On the self-employed side, the greatest thing is you answer for yourself. You have self-control. You get to pursue your passions, things that you like to do. You can create significant income on that side. And typically we know self-employed people like many of us on this call, and dentists and lawyers and small businesses and things like that. So one of the critical things is, but you look at the cons, especially as an employee. I mean, this is, if people can think about, and I'm going to talk and walk you through what Robert Kiyosaki thinks about this, but there's not a lot of benefits there. Look at all the cons. Your income is controlled. Your income potential is limited typically. Political politics and layoffs and things like that. One of the things that struck me was that 12 plus jobs in a career. I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? I mean, I never thought that was possible, but that's where people are looking at. So some of the cons of self-employed, and obviously we can do a deep dive into these concepts, right? But so if you stop work, some of your income may or may not stop. If you stop income, because it's linear, it's pay for work. The same as being an employee. You have all the business responsibilities. I think the biggest one though is what I'm sure a lot of people stress about with small businesses is going out of business. Look at that last stat. It's 25% of businesses make it to 15 years, according to the Bureau of Statistics. Now that even goes lower at 20 years. So being a small business has a lot of stress associated with it. There's a lot of things, but there's obviously upsides. I mean, we have the chance to do it ourselves. So, but from a income perspective and from, making more money, there's things to think about when it comes to self-employed and being an employee. So let's go to the next, and I got to learn how to use this thing. Slide number 6, big business and investors, which is where Kiyosaki says most people should be. But remember, that's where 95% of the wealth is and only 5% of people. So big business, leveraged income, residual income. Some of you may even think about it this way too, that, folks who are actors or entertainers, how they acquire income, shows like MASH and Friends, and how they're paid for life just for running that show for so long. I think it was Rockefeller who said 1% of 100 people's efforts I'd rather have versus 100% of my own. That's that concept of leverage, that concept of geometric progression, that concept of the penny doubling. Look at the investments. Obviously, that's the best quadrant to be in, according to Kiyosaki. It's where money makes you more money, the total penny doubling concept, and favorable tax treatment. So some of the cons associated with that are, obviously, you got to build it. It's risky, but is it more risky to be an employee in today's environment than to maybe go out on your own? The thing of leverage, when you look at these types of businesses, franchising, real estate investment. I mean, Tasha was good friends with the family of Long and Foster before they were Long and Foster. So that's where that big real estate firm comes. So they were in an efficiency, and that thing grew before they sold it recently to Warren Buffett. And that's that leverage piece, hiring realtors to grow your net worth, grow your empire. And that's what we talk about with what we do in Wealth Through Wellness. Just to take a second, in the network marketing industry, one of the great things about this is the low cost in terms of startup, the ability to work from just about anywhere and do anything in a lot of different subject matters or products. And you have a business, which I'm going to talk about on the other side in terms of the benefits of being in business for yourself. And it's that leverage piece of people working with you and working for each other. So it's just a great concept. And obviously, as an investor, it's wonderful to think about that, because you think about Jeff Bezos, for example. I mean, that guy, he's been paying himself about $80,000 per year, but obviously makes a lot more than that. But he doesn't pay the same amount of tax on his dividend income and the other types of incomes he receives. So he claims that 80,000 because that's where he pays the bulk of his outside of the taxes on the company. So the biggest thing here, I think, on the pros side is, or the con side, I should say, is it's risky. It can be a little risky, and it can take time and a commitment. But here's the big upside is, from a tax standpoint, I know others are going to talk about this. If you have a business in the house, whatever kind of business you have, there's so many deductions. Like, even for us, some of our food is deducted because we're required to buy a certain amount every month, which is deductible for us. In-home deductions in terms of bills, travel deductions, car deductions in terms of mileage. There's your clothes. So everyone, in my opinion, should be considering being in business for themselves. And in my opinion, also, as I show you the next slide, I think that, according to Kiyosaki, it's okay to have your foot in one side of the quadrant, on that left side, as an employee or self-employed, but you may want to consider being on the other side, because that leverage piece, understanding the concepts of that penny doubling, understanding what's possible long-term as a strategy. And I would encourage you all, because this is not foreign language. This is not something you can't learn. I mean, they teach these foreign languages where you can learn by taking courses online. You can do the same thing, because you should be diving into, how do big businesses work? Or how, if I wanted to consider a referral marketing industry or an affiliate marketing type of business, how does that work? I'd be happy to talk to you guys about stuff like that. As an investor, I mean, there are ways to start investing or learning how to invest now, and learning those concepts, or partnering up, or learning from someone who knows how to invest. So, and I would encourage you, if you do work with a money manager like Jerry, work with somebody who knows what they're doing, what they're talking about, and has a reputable organization behind them that knows what it's doing. But these are the quadrants of where we make income. This is how income is derived and acquired. Now we can grow our incomes by moving through these quadrants, moving from an employee to a self-employed, and if you want to stay there, that's fine. But consider something that you're passionate about, something that makes sense for you. For me, obviously, it makes sense for Tasha and I because it's food. People got to eat. So it's kind of cool that, we are fulfilling something that people are obligated to do anyway. And now, more importantly, they're aware of immune systems. They're aware of viruses. They're aware of getting healthier. Our percentages of people being unhealthy are growing. So look at those industries where you may be able to make a difference and also have access to the favorable taxability. If I don't put anything in here, you guys many of you are small businesses. So many people who may be watching this post this Zoom, I want them to really, really think and talk to us, talk to Shay, talk to Jerry, talk to me, because the taxable incentives for owning your own business are incredible. That's how our country was founded. That's why you can rail against it all you want, but the rules are the rules, and they are what they are. So I'm going to open it up. I got about 2 minutes left in my segment. If anybody, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If anybody like to make a comment or question, please hop on.
Anybody got any questions? Anything you want to ask real quick before we hop to the next one? Jason, were you going to say something?
Nope.
Okay.
Hey guys,
So I just love, I thought it was great information, and my word for 2021 is collaboration. And I just feel that this kind of lends to that. And I know there are people here on this call who do that anyway, in that collaborating mode. So.
And Emily said that my 2 words actually are freedom and growth. So I really want people, as you take this in, it's a growth opportunity to learn a little bit more. Again, to have one-on-ones with us, with Jerry, as soon as you hear from him, Shay, to learn a little bit more about what we do. But obviously freedom is something very important to me and Tasha in terms of wealth through wellness, showing people how to level up their health and well-being, while at the same time creating a community of people who are benefiting from each other financially in this world. So I think my time is up. Thanks everybody for your time and attention. Hopefully you found that helpful.
Well, thank you for the presentation. That's all I have to say. No questions though.
Thanks, Danielle. I'll just mute you. All right. Shay, are you ready to take it from here?
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Cool. All righty. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to talk about the manage piece of Money Matters: acquire, manage, grow, and protect. And as Tasha said on the other end, I'm Shay Cook, CEO and founder of Crusaders for Change. So I am an accredited financial counselor and coach. And really, you're gonna need to get out some pen and pencil if you're really interested in what I'm going to talk about today, because I'm going to have you do some actual calculations with your personal finances. So if you're ready, go ahead and get those pen and pencil out. But while you're doing that, I'm just going to do a quick introduction into business. Crusaders for Change is just like Rick was saying. First of all, I want to say The Matrix is my favorite movie of all time. So I love that movie. I remember seeing it in the late 90s. I had just started dating my husband. I was going to UMBC and I was in a philosophy class. So it was just perfect timing. And I just love that. I watch that series every few years. So thanks for putting that out there, Rick. But just like you were saying, personal financial freedom, I mean, for me, for all, is what I'm trying to achieve, and it's my goal in life. And really the mission is to empower and equip individuals with the tools they need to become financially free, and providing that counseling, that coaching, those classes and consulting in the areas of pray, work, and play. So really the goals is to change behavior, get out of debt, improve credit, save, and meet goals. So the character here is Sandy Change, and actually I'm going to play a video here in a minute here, just so to see if you can relate to some kind of issues you have, and then we'll go, like I said, into actually doing some real calculations with your personal finances. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. It's about 2 minutes. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the world of change.
My name is Sandy, and I'm a fun, rambunctious, and sometimes shy wife and mother of one. Have you ever felt like a large amount of money would change your life for the better, even when you know deep down you need more than just money in your life? You really need a new mindset, a new spouse, or a new continent to call home. But the thought of coming into a huge amount of money makes you feel all tingly inside. I have been there. I really felt like finding that pot of gold would make my life 100% better, even when others kept telling me to look for that pot of God, or that pot of sexual fantasies, or just pot. I got married really young and had a child, in my opinion, way too young, and I wasn't satisfied. We struggled from the beginning and just weren't ready, spiritually, mentally, or financially, to be that strong married union we all wish for. Early on, I was ready to give up many times by divorce or disappearing from all mankind, but even when I entertained the darkness, I knew it was not my destiny. Still, I played with and was seduced by the darkness. That darkness came in many forms, to include financial irresponsibility. I was very irresponsible, but I felt like it was mandatory for me to fill the void I felt within my relationships and inside of me. This included buying things I really couldn't afford, using credit cards I had no business having, and accumulating a crap load of debt. I became a lover of bras, panties, and purses. The bras and panties touched me in ways I was lacking from my partner, and the purses represented the possibility of having lots of money one day. But how did I overcome this darkness? It was a process and took time, but one thing I did was contact a financial counselor coach to help me determine the root causes of my financial irresponsibility and help me develop an action plan to change my bad habits. Stay tuned.
So how many of us have been in a situation where we are just, irresponsible? I wish we could be more interactive. I know we only got 20 minutes, but I love during that time, I usually ask, like, what have you done, with your money? What have you spent it on that you regret? And that usually shows up in your net worth. So if you have your paper, does everybody got a paper? If they can put up their little sign or raise their hands. Good to go? All right, cool. Hold on, I'm trying to get down here. There we go. All right. So net worth and assets here. How many of us even done a net worth statement? Anybody's done that before? Yep. All right, this Google thing is all in the way. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm just getting my screen here in order. Okay. So basically, the net worth is a snapshot of your overall financial health, and creating a net worth statement, updating it each year will help you monitor your financial progress and meet your financial goals. So here we have laid out assets, which are what you own, and then liabilities is what you owe. So we're going to go here, and I just did some estimated numbers in the slideshow here. So if we start with your savings, whatever you have in your savings account, we're not talking about investments. We're going to get there soon, insurance and so forth. But what do you have in your savings? So for this example, we have 200, checking 300. These numbers might be looking low for some of you guys, and hopefully it is, but when I'm dealing with clients, they're pretty low. So that's the checking account, if you can write that down. And then investments, taxable investments, not your non-taxable, like the retirement funds and stuff. So those kind of stocks and bonds, whatever you have with a brokerage firm or with a financial advisor, mutual funds, that kind of stuff, put that in there, your investments. And then life insurance policy. And I know Jerry's going to say that's low, and it is low. Again, a lot of people I work with don't even have an insurance policy. And as you might know, we're seeing a lot of GoFundMe pages coming up for people dying. Unfortunately, don't have insurance. But if you have a cash value in your insurance here, put down how much that is for your life insurance. And then personal property, any kind of automobiles, motorcycle, boats that you might own outright or have some kind of cash value to it, furniture, artwork. If you have an estimate, of course, these are just estimates for today's example, and we have a short amount of time, but $6,000 for this example. And then jewelry, if you have any jewelry that, is worth anything, again, I'm putting 500 here. And then a retirement fund, hopefully you got way more than $1,500 in your retirement fund. But again, I'm working with people that are in their like 60s and they unfortunately have not been able to save. But write down your retirement fund amount that you might have in there. Hopefully you have a way more than that. And then when we get to real estate, the actual equity that you might have in your home, if you own any property. We're not talking about the loan that you own to Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Capital One, but the actual equity that you have in your real estate. So any other things that you might think of that you own that I haven't had listed here that I would say put that down and then calculate that total. And then you would move into what you owe. And this is where it gets really heavy here, because I know a lot of clients that I'm dealing with every day, they're the auto loans, you know, that's around 15,000 for this example. Any kind of personal bank loans you might have. If you are a small business owner, and if it's in your name, hopefully it's in your business name, but if not, any kind of loans you might have with that. Credit cards, that's a big one. And I have a lot of clients, they have a lot of debt with their credit cards. So you want to list that. And then mortgage loans. So I was thinking when I was doing this class a couple months, well, last month actually, I was doing it for Northern Virginia, people that live in Northern Virginia. And I know their housing is really expensive there. And so it's 560,000. It's pretty typical now around that area that I was helping people around there. So that's the amount you owe on your mortgage. Student loans. I'm working with a lot of clients again that have $100,000, $200,000 of student loans. So hopefully you don't have those, but if you do, write those down. And then unpaid medical and dental bills. That's real right now. A lot of people are struggling, especially in COVID, and they have these bills and they don't have the insurance to pay it. So usually it's higher than that. So they have that. Collections, you know, unfortunately people see that as helping them when they have that in their credit, you know, they might have the collections amount owed and bills that they have and cell phone bills, electric bills, and then any unpaid taxes that you might have. But any other things you might owe, if you owe some family members some money, you can put that down there as well. So for this example, this person actually has a negative $639,000 net worth. And some people might, whoa, this is pretty typical. I see this. If you have a heavy, you know, mortgage payment or big loans, especially student loans and so forth, sometimes the net worth is really, excuse me, negative. So this is just an example to see where your financial health is. Of course, you want this number to be positive. But I always start, you know, when we're starting out with clients or doing some classes, you know, net worth to really help them understand where they are overall. And then they can say, all right, we need to work on building our savings, getting more investments. Obviously, we need more life insurance. So this gives me a good picture to help people, but this is a good picture for you for your overall health. So anybody have any questions with their net worth? Has anybody ever done this before? Let me see your hands. Good. All right. So now on your spend plan. So now if you have your net worth and you've done that and you see how financially healthy you are, excuse me, a spend plan is a good, you know, overall picture as well as seeing where you are. A lot of people don't even have a spend plan or a budget or have no idea how much money they have coming in or how much money they have going out. So again, if you have your paper and pencil, I wanted to go through the spend plan real quickly. Again, this just for time's sake, we're just gonna look at net income, savings, your fixed expenses, and then your variable expenses. So I know a lot of people still use spreadsheets, Excel, Google Docs, and so forth, numbers on Apple, or they'll have apps you can use for this, but it's really good to understand how much you have coming in for your, you know, coming in, how much you have going out. So net income, I would say write down your first job, if you got 1 or 2 jobs, your self-employment income, and then your any kind of federal and state support you might have, your spouse income, alimony, and child support. So those are the kind of things you would want in your net income. So if you have that paper and pencil, if you want to do it, if not, you just want to watch, that's fine. But here's net income, and then you want to write down savings. It's very important in this time, especially with COVID and a pandemic, to have some kind of emergency savings. In my industry, they used to say have 3 to 6 months. Now they're saying have 9 to 12 months because you never know what might happen. So you want to have at least that amount. Excuse me, I've been talking a lot today since 8 o'clock this morning, so forgive me. So then you also want to include any kind of short-term, mid-term, long-term goals you might have in your savings column, which we're going to go into that a little deeper as well. So for short-term goals, it might be you want to go on a vacation this year, buy a car. Midterm, might want to buy a home, and long-term, obviously, you want to retire, but you might want to buy that dream home somewhere, or pay for college for a kid, so that kind of stuff. But obviously, you want to have investments for that too, which I'm sure Jerry might be talking about. And then fixed expenses. Includes like rent and mortgage, auto payments, credit cards, which I have here highlighted. Again, that's a big fixed expense that I see for people. That might be a variable as well, but a lot of people have a lot of credit card debt. Loan payments, and again, those good old student loans, which right now, because of COVID, you don't have to pay them. Even though I told clients still pay them, but you don't have any interest. So you don't have to worry about that. And then variable expenses can range anywhere from charity and religious expenses to your variable electric, gas. Sometimes that can be fixed. I see that going up and down for some clients. Groceries through the pandemic, that's been huge as well. That bill has gone up crazy for some of my clients, so definitely want to monitor that. The belt. Oh, excuse me, Lord, geez, help me. Sorry, my throat is like crazy right now. Childcare, and then any kind of allowance in lunch, gas, pet care, entertainment, and then meals out. Again, that's another heavy one. That's why that's in red. So you would want to take, note of all of these and calculate the net income and the savings, fixed expenses, and then the variable expenses. And then from there, you will determine either you have an excess or a shortage, so a surplus or a deficit based on those numbers. So if we had more time, and I actually would have you write all these down, and we would discuss that if you had any questions, and to see where you at with your spend plan. Do you have a positive amount, or do you have a negative amount? And if you are positive, you're living within your means. But if you're negative, you're living above your means, and it's time to adjust your spending immediately. So any questions there? Anybody want to? Usually we're not recording, and it's more of a private conversation. But anybody want to share how they what tools they use for a spend plan real quick before we move on?
Well, Shay, I use your tools, but I know I've been failing to call you back recently, so I apologize.
You didn't have to put yourself on blast like that, Daniel. I didn't ask you to do that.
Well,
does
I'm
anybody use
just being honest.
No, thanks, Daniel. But what I find, a lot of people are, choose to go back to the old school way of just doing, obviously there's a lot of tools through your financial institution you can use that categorize all your expenses. So, but using a spreadsheet is very helpful.
Yeah, I think it really puts things in perspective. Just having them all in these columns, for sure.
Yeah, and I have a really cool tool I use, Tasha, like Daniel was saying, that I can, share with you as well. But for my clients, we have a special spreadsheet we use to figure the money that's coming in, money going out, and people are always surprised because they don't keep track of the money that's going in and out. So it's very important to do that. So how much time do I have? I don't even keep track.
You have 1 second. 4.5 minutes.
Okay, cool. So with financial goals, again, if you have your pen and pencil, if you want to write down some, but I'm just going to make some recommendations looking at your short-term goals up to 1 year. Starting with an emergency savings. I can't stress this enough. Hopefully everybody has this already, but usually, again, we recommend 9 to 12 months of expenses in a savings account. But for this example here, we're just looking at, I try to start clients off with just a basic amount if they don't have any. So we say we have $1,000 in 6 months, that would be $200. So after you look at your net worth, after you look at your spend plan, now you can say, all right, I got a couple $100 left every month after I do everything and pay all my bills. I can afford to boost my savings by $200 to meet this goal. And then hopefully in 2021, we'll be going on vacations again. So let's plan for a small vacation somewhere for $800. We got 8 months before that. So we can do that. Well, $100 a month, I can afford to do that. So we're going to start saving for that. And then maybe you need a down payment on a car and you want to save by next year, January 2022. So you say, all right, $1,800 over 12 months, it's $150. I can afford that. That's in my budget after I did my spend plan. So looking at that is very important. And then going into the longer goals, like midterm goals, 1 to 5 years, and long-term goals, excuse me. Paying off that credit card debt, that's always important. Paying off debt is actually saving you money because you're paying the amount for interest. So we're gonna say, you know, for $5,000, we can do that in 22 months, $230, we can afford that in a budget. Or saving for a house, which is, I've been getting a lot of clients for that, thanks to Daniel as well, for that's trying to buy houses. So cost, you know, just say we're going to do $15,000. That's not a lot of money when you're trying to put down like 20%, but maybe you're doing a first time home buyer, 3-5%. I can afford to do that, or, you know, getting a house in a couple years or a few years. And then lastly, which Jerry, I know he's going to talk about, retiring by 60. So, you know, I always try to stress this to my clients. You know, we also got to look at the long-term goals of retiring. Of course, we don't want to put that just in a savings. You want to put that in some kind of 401k, tax sheltered, or maybe do some investing with a financial advisor. So I always recommend that as well. So just wrapping up, you know, there's really no big secret in life. Oprah Winfrey say, you know, whatever your goal, you can get it there if you're willing to do the work. So you're awesome. I'm awesome. We're all awesome. Financial freedom starts with you. You just need to make sure that you know how to manage it appropriately. You know, there's many opportunities, obviously, to save and make more money. This money is just, it is a necessity, but it's not an end goal. And, you know, through changing your experiences with money, you can start with you, become free from that. So anybody have any questions? Again, I apologize for my voice. I didn't know I was going to go crazy when I started talking. Like, oh my God.
I have a question, but I loved what you did, because I think that it just kind of gave a really, like, just a very common sense idea of what's happening. And I think a lot of people sometimes, you know, don't know that, don't have that information. And, you know, that's pretty key.
Yeah, a lot of people, again, I work with and talk to. Oops, who's that? Oh, getting feedback. No, but what I was going to say, a lot of people I talk to stuff, they have no clue how much money they have coming in and out. So just going back to the basics is what's important. But if you want to know more, I usually, when I have more time, or I would go and dig deeper into debt and credit and, you know, different other things. Definitely book a 30-minute clarity call for me. It's free, and I can help you from there. So thank you, Tasha.
Awesome. Thank you, Shay. Okay, if no questions and all, we're going to hand it over to Jerry Scheinman. Jerry, are you ready?
I am ready. I just have to take it off mute. So I'm going to share my screen for a second.
Rick and Shay, will you guys put your information, or like maybe just your LinkedIn page or whatever, into the chat? So, and then Jerry can do it after. I forgot to mention, so people can check out your pages.
So good evening, everyone. It's been a long day, and I'm going to have the challenging part of finishing this up and talking about basically protecting yourself and the fun subject of taxes. So here's my contact information, and this is the New York Life Building in New York. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. So ultimately, what we're going to talk about tonight is how to control your expenses, make money so that it's going to help you plan for the future, and doing it so that you keep more of what you earned. Understanding how the tax system works is going to be something that's going to be important for you to plan in terms of minimizing your taxes in the future. So what it comes down to is love and taxes. And when I refer to love, it means protecting what's important to you. As Shay said, and I totally agree, I really don't like seeing GoFundMe pages on Facebook. It means someone did not have a conversation with their family or an advisor in any way to figure out what their obligations are, what's important, and how to protect them. It's everything from the mortgage, like Shay was talking about. The numbers in this area are significant. It's making sure your kids can go to college if they want to, or making sure that they're able to stay and be fed. So is protecting your family worth a cup of Starbucks a week? Because for someone who's young and healthy, that would be the cost of a 20-year term life insurance policy that would send your kids to college for 4 years. So it's a question of prioritizing. And as Shay said, doing that spreadsheet and seeing what's coming in, what's going out, and what you need to protect. COVID has made this an even more relevant discussion. So when we talk about where to start, it's basically building a strong foundation. I'm going to share, oops, I'm going to share a screen. So we talked about having a foundation like you have for a house, and you build it brick by brick. Excuse me, my mouth is dry also. It has been a busy day. So the concept of having cash for emergencies is even more important now. COVID has heightened that need because where you thought you had a good stable job, that may not be the case. You want to make sure that you can weather the storm, whether it's paying for a new radiator for your house or car repairs, and then protecting what you earn and what you owe. Other aspects of building a strong foundation, making sure you have good health insurance, and then protecting your family, as I mentioned, with the proper amount of life insurance, whether it's for your mortgage, your lost income, credit card and car loans, college savings. The list was well, demonstrated by Shay. Ultimately, it's a one-on-one discussion with your insurance agent. And then another thing that a lot of people don't even think about is disability insurance. It's great when you have group benefits through your employer, but not many people understand that when the employer pays for that policy, number one, it doesn't belong to you. So if you leave your job, you leave that coverage. And if you did claim disability because it was a pre-tax contribution from your employer, you will pay taxes on it. Being on disability and needing to pay taxes on that paycheck is not a situation you want to be in. So how do you keep more of what you earn? Shay talked about paying off your credit card debt. This is probably one of the things that can have the longest impact on your financial health, because improving your credit score will pay you every month and over the course of your lifetime. It's going to be many thousands of dollars, whether it's applying for a mortgage, a car loan, a home equity loan to improve your house, or even a better job, because a lot of employers will look at your credit score and look to see how responsible you are. And your credit score is one of the aspects that people will look at to get that sense. There are also other aspects of, paying off credit card debt. The interest rates are astronomical. And so this is one way of saving money and putting it in your pocket every month. The other nice thing is, for those cards that pay points, use it as a way of saving for a vacation. It's a way of paying yourself back for being responsible. The most important thing is, how do you minimize the amount of money you owe in taxes? As Rick was talking about Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett does the same thing. They minimize how much their actual paycheck is by using the preferential rates on dividends and capital gains. So a little history of the tax, federal taxes. It was actually the 16th Amendment that finalized and made it permanent way back when, in 1913. And at that point, there were only 6 tax brackets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6%. We've come a long way since then. You'll find that world wars are very expensive. And so right after World War II, here is a historical chart of our taxes. Top tax bracket right after World War II and into the early 50s was 92%. In the 70s, it was still 70%. And the important part about this is that's when the 401ks came into existence. And it was a great thing. I can put money away for my retirement plan, take a deduction now. And the thought was, well, in the future, when I retire, taxes will be lower. What if that's not the case? Because we're fighting a war now, it's called COVID. And you'll see how our deficit has been going. And this is actually before COVID. This is our debt in billions of dollars. So we're talking about, this is $25 trillion in debt. This all ends in 2020. Federal government, the Treasury is going to keep pumping out money because there are huge segments of our country that need help. So unfortunately, that's going to need to get paid back. So how do you address those needs? You minimize your taxes, and you can do that in a variety of different ways. If you have a company that offers a 401k and they match it, I always recommend to clients at least do the percent that they match. It's free money, and there is nothing that beats free money. So it's 3%, 5%, you should always at least put that amount in. You get a tax deduction this year, that's great. The downside is you're telling the government, I'll take my tax deduction now and I'll pay whatever the the tax rates are in the future. And as I said, we don't know what that's going to be. Another opportunity is the health savings account. I mentioned health insurance. The health savings account is the literal home run. You put money in, you take a tax deduction, it grows tax-free, and then when you take it out in the future, it's tax-free. I try and advise clients that if you're young and healthy, contribute to the maximum for the HSA. You can even invest it like you would in a mutual fund account and have it grow over time. That would be, if you're 20s, 30s, even 40s, you're talking about a long time for it to grow. Other opportunities are Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks. Unfortunately, you pay taxes, but you pay them now, and historically, the tax rates are much lower now. But you're setting yourself up for tax-free retirement forever. Not a bad deal when we know taxes are going to go up. How much? My crystal ball is a little hazy. You can also do it in such a way that you create your own personal pension plan. And those have not very common these days. Companies are getting rid of them because they're too expensive. So how would you like to set up your own pension plan that's going to pay you a paycheck for the rest of your life, tax-free? This is something that can be done. You can actually do it for the year 2020, as long as it's set up and you contribute to it by April 15th. Now, Shay had you do a little homework. I'm going to have you do a little homework. So I want you to create a table, and on the top, write the following columns: bank, your 401k/IRA, real estate, and then put XXX for the mystery. On the left side, we're going to talk about liquidity. In other words, easy access to your money. Next, safety. Next, under that, the rate of return, and then tax advantages. So let's go one by one. For the bank, liquidity, we all know you can take it out with your your card, you can transfer money, you can go into a bank. It's insured by the FDIC, so you have easy access. 401k IRAs, those are long-term investments. If you take the money out before you're 59 and a half, in addition to paying income taxes, you also pay a 10% penalty, except for disability, or you can take out $10,000 for your first home purchase. Real estate, liquidity, not very. Try and sell a property, whether it's raw land, a condominium, a house, when you really need it. Triple X, total liquidity. Safety, bank, safe. 401k and IRAs, it's not safe. There's no guarantee that when you need that money to retire, there's going to be anything left, because it's up to you and how you invest. Real estate, safe, depending upon where you buy a property. If it's in a good school system, it can be a great investment. Safety, put a positive for the triple X. Rate of return, right now, it's pretty minimal. If you're lucky and you put it in a high yield savings account, you might get 0.5%. That would take about 140 years for your money to double. 401k IRAs, obviously, again, it depends upon how you invest. Real estate depends upon where you buy. Triple X is going to be a guaranteed return on your policy every year. Tax advantages. In addition to low returns, you pay taxes every year. You get a 1099. 401ks, tax deductible when you put the money in. You pay ordinary income taxes when the money comes out. And that's one thing we don't know the future. Real estate, well, that could be a great investment. An individual can deduct $250,000 for capital gains, a couple $500,000 when they sell the property. There are other ways of what's doing an exchange where you sell one property, buy another one, and you pay no capital gains. Final one, the triple X, total tax advantage. It grows tax deferred, and when properly set up, it's tax free. So what is that triple X? The IRS actually treats, and Shay referred to it, a permanent life insurance policy as a tax deferred vehicle and can be accessed tax free in the future. So this is something that is a more drawn out discussion for just a short quote unquote conversation at 8 o'clock in the evening on a Thursday. But it's something to talk to your financial advisor, insurance agent, whoever you're comfortable with, because it's a complement to a 401k or an IRA. It's another vehicle to put money away for the future that's liquid. It's safe because it's insured by the insurance company. It's the guaranteed returns, and it has potential tax advantages. I am going to stop there because my family's always told me I talk too much.
Oh, Jerry, you actually had a couple minutes left, but.
You know what? It's a long day. My mouth is dry. I've been talking a lot today also. It's been busy.
Gotcha. So does anybody have any questions or any comments or anything that you want to remark on anything that Jerry just spoke about?
I got intrigued by the pension, and is it individual can set up a pension for himself or herself?
Yep. Mm-hmm. You do it.
Is it expensive?
You can do it through a Roth IRA. So depending upon your income, you could either do a Roth IRA every year, or you could do what's called a backdoor Roth IRA. So if your income is too high, You could still do a IRA. You don't take the tax deduction because your income is too high. And then the next day you do what's called a backdoor conversion and you convert it to a Roth IRA. And then it's free, tax-free for the rest of your life.
So when you talk about pension, are you referring to just an IRA, or it's a different kind of IRA?
It's a different kind of IRA, but it's using the Roth concept to create a pension.
Okay, I mean that's interesting. I need to look into that then. All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Remember, April 15th.
Taxes?
Well, if you want to do a 2020 contribution.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any questions, any comments, anything to add? Guys are just soaking it all in. Taking it all in.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on what Jerry was talking about, because I happen to, work in that field, and he's right. I mean, if you have the ability to utilize a whole life insurance policy, and I'm sure Shay would say that too, if you can utilize that especially from a reputable organization like New York Life or others that are top insurers, it's one of the best tax advantaged ways to shelter your money. And you can't really say that because it's an insurance policy. I mean, you're supposed to, but it's been around for a long time. And like I say, the rules are written for business owners. They're written for people to put money away if you have, especially a high net worth. So I would suggest looking into that possibility if you if you have that capability to look into a policy like that, because they work so well.
What's funny is that if you look at some of the annual reports for big companies like 3M, General Electric, the executives are putting hundreds of thousands of dollars a year into insurance premiums because it's going to be tax-free income in the future. They're not buying term, they're buying permanent.
I had said, go ahead and put your LinkedIn or your contact in there, but everybody else go ahead and do it too, if, because there are different people here doing different things that can help each other. So we can save the chat and have that. And also if you guys want to get with or, go offline with either Rick or Jerry or Shay, then you can do that.
On a personal note, I mentioned how important disability insurance is. So this is not my first career. I'm actually a physician, and because of back issues, I had to retire on disability. So I can tell you how important it is to having that in your financial plan, and addressing it the right way. Because when I was young, quote unquote, I was told it's more important than life insurance, because if something happens to you, you still need to pay your rent, your mortgage, food, all the other expenses. So make sure that you have something that you can rely upon if something happens to you.
I just remember growing up, like when our fight, because my dad had like this financial advisor guy who was like with him like for years, this one guy. And I just remember like always, and all you guys say, you're telling us things really nicely, but as a child, I remember having a very fearful, anxious feeling when the financial guy would come over, because it was like this kind of thing where you got to do this or that might happen. And that was like the undertones. And I don't know, I just went back to my childhood for a minute. I thought I would share.
The funny thing is you don't have to do anything, but life happens.
Exactly.
And, that's the other side of that is the GoFundMe page.
Right. Yeah.
This is a very quiet group.
I
It
know.
is. Guys,
Like,
come
what's
on.
going on?
I know.
You know? Should
know
we
what,
have
Shay, I
asked
think it's
everybody
my
to have a
fault.
cocktail before joining or what?
I'm telling you, we might have should have
Tequila
done
shots or
cocktails. Yeah.
something.
Shay, it's probably my fault. I was talking about taxes.
No. No, I mean, in the sense, and even what I said, like, I mean, my dad always had everything taken care of, touch wood, and that was because he did have this, his financial guy was like, he was over quite often. We knew him well. He's joined us for dinner many times.
I came from the totally different spectrum. So there was no financial guy. There was no financial talks. It was just live paycheck to paycheck and lots of arguing about no money or a lot of debt. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people. I mean, everybody has a different money mindset, a different story around money, whether you're even allowed to ask for money. I know I work with a lot of business owners, and when we talk about pricing and talk about, what are the packages, it's the big spectrum of people who don't care at all. And they're like, well, money is just a tool. And then some people who really struggle with asking for money. So I think this kind of conversation here has that potential to touch on a lot of those kind of money stories that everyone has. So for some people, it's just even scary to think about it. They don't want to talk about it. So like if you pretend, if it's not there, you don't have to talk, you don't have to face it, but just, disability and those kinds of things, it can happen. So it's important. And I think it's one of those topics. It's not just the topic, but it's all the stuff underneath that sometimes gets people in a really uncomfortable position.
Nicoletta.
Very true.
Yeah, even 10 months into COVID, I do individual health coverage. Everybody here, most of you all have heard my spiel, but like today, there was a woman who's going on 9 months with 2 kids and no health insurance. I don't need it. I can't afford it. Well, she works, and we presented her with some alternatives that would allow her to add, a level on, which is how we work, going forth. But I mean, if something happened, we can't help you. I mean, who's the latest? Michael Strahan was stricken down by COVID. I mean, this is not going to go away. This is not invincible. But I just want to commend everybody. This is very enriching. I like the magazine format. And thank you for making a very dull Thursday night ordinarily, livening it up a little bit, everybody. So time is of the essence. That's it. I think that's so we can all agree on.
Next time, I'm definitely putting cocktails into the invitation. So anything else? Anyone want to share anything? I mean, yes, Daniel, how do we, I don't think we've ever met, have we?
No, I think the reason we are friends on LinkedIn is through Mike Turajczyk, the Polish Your Business. I think that's
Polish Mike.
Yeah, Polish Mike. That's how I came across your profile, and at some point we just became friends.
Okay, nice to meet you.
I mean, but friends, connections on LinkedIn, I guess,
Yeah, that's a
So
good
you get the point.
Yes. So what do you do?
Nice meeting you as well. What do I do? I do real estate. I'm a real estate agent. So
Okay.
and this is one of the the main reason why I decided to join this conversation is because and I work with Shay as a client, but also as a partner with referring my clients to her, because my perspective on the idea that I have for providing real estate business services, it goes beyond just selling and buying. I want to be a person who helps with developing, kind of groom my clients to be capable of buying real estate. of course, I want to make money, selling big ticket items and things of that nature. But what I really enjoy and what I really would like to do, helping people that's either lack of confidence. I talk to a lot of people who say like, oh, there's no way I can afford buying something right now, or I don't have enough money right now, or I would like to, but I don't have enough money for down payment. That's when I usually send them to Shay and see. You can't save everyone, but at least I can try. And if they're willing to do work, then it works for me. Even if they don't end up buying from me or using my services,
Sure.
I gain personal satisfaction. I know it may sound cheesy, but it's
No,
honest.
it's not. It's not cheesy at
Yeah.
all. It's actually how how
The
it
only
should
thing
be.
is I know it's how it should be, but I wonder sometimes if it's not the way, the reason why it's not this way most of the times, is it because it's not financially feasible, or is just people don't do it well enough? That's kind of the stage I'm in right now. So I hope this is going to work out where I can just afford being able to do this way, and I will be doing this. It's just depending on how much time I will be able to dedicate to people that it's just I can't really make money with for many months, or maybe never. But that's what I do, and that's my approach to it. So the reason I joined this, it's something close to my heart, and I'm trying to educate myself more and see also how other people talk about this, and develop network of people.
Daniel,
Yeah.
with regard to each one of us that spoke, Rick, Shay, and myself, we're here to help people. But on the other side of the equation, they have to want to get involved and take responsibility.
Absolutely, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's what I say. You can't save everyone. Like one of my mentors used to say, you can take horse to the well, but you can't force it to drink. So I'm there. The reason that I think this way is because I've been that person. So it's coming from my own personal experience, and I know that if you have someone who shows you the way, if you're willing to do the work, it can really change your life. And I'm nowhere close to be perfect, because I've been delaying talking to Shay for probably a couple months at this point. But at least I'm aware of it, and I truly believe about changing your mindset. So it's not only about saving money and being smart about that, but it's mindset that will help you. If you get the right mindset, everything else will fall into place, basically.
That's true. That's
I
very
wanted
true.
to say too, Natasha, this is great. This is great. Just a good refresher for me. I love Robert Kiyosaki. I've been with him. That's the reason why I got into real estate investing to begin with. But also as a realtor, Daniel just brought up a good point. I hadn't even thought of it, because when I think of working with buyers, I mostly work with sellers, but I've recently started working with a few buyers. I always send them to the lender, and I didn't even think about Shay as being a resource for them, because a lot of them are very afraid. Some of the people that I'm working with, and like Daniel said, these are going to be people that are going to be down the road. They're not going to be right away first-time home buyers. So I will definitely, Shay, I do need to connect with you very quickly, because I do have a couple of people that need some help. And I didn't even think about that. I send them right to the lender.
Yeah, and that's funny thing you guys say that, because I have a lot of good lenders in my networks too. They send me to, but also I've been working with Orlando Darden, and I'm a corporate sponsor for Fund My Home. He has an amazing program that I can also, after they work with me, send them to Fund My Home to get down payment assistance. So there's a great network here that I all attribute to Natasha, because I met all these people through here. So thank you, Natasha.
Oh my
And Rick.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Ditto. Thank you, Tasha, for doing all this.
Well, this is what it's about. This is when it feels so good. And, like where people are coming together. And Daniel, C4 After Hours is just this thing we do once in a while with the experts. But the first and third Tuesday of the month, we have a networking event from 12 to 1:30. And you should join us, because it's all about this. It's about uplifting and collaborating and connecting and really coming together as a community, and all of us, you know, rising by lifting others kind of thing, and really being a family, you know. So if you're, you know, you're a bit of a underdog, Robin Hood. So you belong, you fit right into that group for sure.
Well, I'll definitely look into it. I mean,
Yeah, put your
I will look into it.
yeah, put your email into the chat and I'll send you an invite so you've got it. Because I don't usually post it on LinkedIn. I do these on LinkedIn, but I sometimes forget to post the regular one. So guys, that was really amazing. It was a lot of great information. The three of you are a force to be reckoned with, a perfect storm coming together. I think we could have gone on. I think you could have each done, you know, longer on all three, but that's, I guess, place for people to be able to do their one-on-ones with you. Yeah, I want to have like Rick, Jerry, and Shay all there and just like spend the afternoon, you know. So yes, but thank you for being there. You guys all who showed up, thank you so much. This is recorded, so I'm going to put it on the C4 Explosive Networking YouTube channel. Anything anyone wants to add? We are meeting on Tuesday at C4 at 12 noon. Sage Harper is going to be talking and giving us some great tips. Ted, are we doing a workshop for you next week on rated trades? Or are we in discussion for that?
I think we were in discussion. I was going to call you tomorrow to clarify. Okay. That's up to you guys.
Yeah. All right. We'll have a chat tomorrow and see. And I'm just really grateful for you guys coming. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on Tuesday. Rihanna, come to C4 sometime. It's so nice to see you.
I work during the day, so it's kind of hard.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it here.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
For sure.
Make sure everyone stocks up for a little snowstorm this weekend.
Yeah. Right.
I believe it when I see it, but I think we're going to get it. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
I think so.
Better hurry up and get my milk and cookies in order.
I know, right?
That's all that matters to me.
And your Netflix.
Right?
Make sure you have enough toilet paper because there won't be any.
Yeah, it's milk and cookies.
That's too
I'm
funny.
going to Lidl. My new place of record. Great little store.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. All right. Thank
Everyone
you so
stay
much.
well. Stay well.
Thank you.
Be
Have a good
safe.
night.
Warm,
Thanks a lot, everybody. Be
Stay
safe.
safe. Thank
Travel
you.
safely.
See you Tuesday,
Good
noon.
times, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.